They all have their own IVs, they all have their own abilities, they all have their own stats, and all that other wonderful stuff. But the one thing people tend to look over is that each Pokemon has its own distinct cry, and that's not even completely true because back in Gen 1 there wasn't even enough sounds to make all 151 Pokemon have distinct cries. So some of them had to tweak it a little bit and, like, you know, shift the tone, or it's a long and complicated story. But other than that, Pokemon do have their own distinct cries, and while some, like in Generation 1, they sound like exactly the same. Okay, maybe not exactly the same, but they sound so similar you can't even tell them apart. Like, honestly, I took this one Pokemon Cry quiz back when Pokédex 3D Pro was first released. I had absolutely no idea who was saying what. That's how similar all the cries sounded. I'm just like, wait a minute, what? However, there are some Pokemon whose cries are very distinctive and unique, and even in those early generations, you can tell that that is whatever specific Pokemon it happens to be. Some of them are that way because I've heard them a lot, like Pelipper in Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon. You hear Pelipper so much that you automatically know what it is because you've heard it a lot. But there are some cries that you hear and you remember them because they sound so unique and so different. And so this is a list of the top 10 Pokemon cries. Now these are the cries that are definitely distinctive. They're separated from the crowd. You know, there's over 802 or however many Pokemon there are now. Didn't they add one in like Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon? I don't even know. But anyway, with all these different Pokemon and all these different cries, it's very reasonable that they would all get mixed up and jumbled around if you didn't hear them all enough. But these are the cries that are distinctive and the ones that you remember, or are distinctive enough to be set apart from the crowd. Now, a couple things to keep in mind before I go through this list. Number one, I did not put Pikachu on this list. I mean, Pikachu's had two different cries, and the second one is definitely distinctive. In fact, it's so distinctive that it would kind of be cheating to put it on this list, so I didn't. I mean, come on. It's like, I really like what they did after Generation 6, but it just would not deserve a spot on this list because it doesn't sound like because it's like cheating, you know? It's obvious that it doesn't sound like every other Pokemon on this list, so I'm not going to put it on this list. Second of all, this is my opinion, and there may be some cries that you like that aren't on this list, and there may be some cries that are on this list that you can't stand. Like, why the heck do you think that's a good cry, Joan? Are you crazy? But, you know what? You're not going to have the same opinion with me, and that's totally cool. Just don't start a complete argument about it, and we're good. So, here's a list of the top 10 Pokemon cries. Now, given that a lot of the cries in Generation 1 were, well, they all sounded extremely similar, to say that a Generation 1 Pokemon got on this list is saying something. And that's the case with Porygon. Now, Porygon's cry, it sounds electronic. Well, they kind of all sound electronic because they all came from an electronic device. But Porygon's cry in particular sticks out because not only does it sound electronic, it has a distinct pattern to it that no other Pokemon in Generation 1 has, and that's what makes it stick out. Yeah, it does sound electronic, even more electronic than the other electronic sounds, if that makes any sense at all, but it definitely does sound unique, and it's there, and it's like, you hear that, like, oh, that's a Porygon, and you know what it is, and that's what makes it special. Hippopotas definitely has a unique cry. In fact, it's so unique and so out there that I can't even remember how it goes. I know I said that these were the most memorable cries, but sometimes it's just, you expect it to go one way and it goes another, you know, one of those things. But that's exactly what makes it stand out, is you don't see it's coming. You will come across a Hippopotas, you're like, oh, this thing, and then it just pops up and you hear its cry. It's like, oh yeah, that's a pretty good cry. It's unique, it's distinctive. You don't see it coming, and that's what makes it special. Now, Lumineon and its pre-evolved form Finneon are actually kind of forgettable, which I don't really get because they're really beautiful Pokemon, and then I remember that sometimes I actually forget about them. Wow, I just contradicted myself in the worst way possible. But Lumineon's cry is anything but forgettable. It's beautiful. It's exactly what you think would come out of a luminescent, beautiful fish, and that just basically describes Lumineon to a T. It's unique in the way it sounds like a luminescent fish. Whatever that would sound like, I probably said that before, I don't even remember. And it doesn't sound like any other cry of its generation. Now, as for Pokemon you get early in the game, a lot of them tend not to be all that good. Well, Starly's an exception to this, because not only does it evolve into a really, really great Pokemon that actually helped me get the win against Cynthia, but its cry is also very fantastic. It's such a different cry than anything else, and any bird Pokemon even. It actually sounds like a bird's song. Like, you know how like those song sparrows or whatever they call it, they all have different songs, yet they all kind of sound the same? Well, it's kind of like that. Starly has its unique song. When you come across it, when you hear it, you automatically know that that is a Starly. And Starly was one of the cries I actually remembered early on because it stood out like that. Now, you can complain all you want about a keychain Pokemon, like what the heck is that doing in Pokemon? Why are they running out of ideas? I have no idea what you say that because I think Klefki's kind of cool and creative. But you definitely have to give it props for its cry. Its cry literally sounds like you're jangling keys on a keychain. And since this Pokemon literally is a keychain, or it looks like one at least, it would sound like it's jangling keys on a keychain. I mean, it's perfect. It's a perfect match. You don't hear anything else like it. That's what makes it a good cry. Now, a lot of the Pokemon cries are short, and Primarina definitely has a longer one, but it really is a perfect match for Primarina. It's known as the soloist Pokemon, and it does sound like it's maybe not singing a solo, maybe humming a solo, I don't really know, but it definitely sounds like it's performing some kind of musical instrument, whether that is probably its voice, because it does cry, but wow, I really did not think this through at all. It just sounds so beautiful, and it is so unique, and you know that that's a Primarina, and it's just probably one of the most distinctive cries out there. Now, if you want to talk about distinctive Generation 4 cries, look no further than Kricketot and Kricketune. And I decided to lump these together since it wouldn't really be fair because one is the evolved form of the other. It just wouldn't be fair if I put the two on separate spots of the list because there are a lot of good unique cries. In fact, I had to narrow this list down to 10. But Kricketot's cry is really good because you come across it, you hear it, you know it's a Kricketot. And I've said this like 50,000 times before, but it really does sound like you have a xylophone and you're taking the mallet and you're running it down the xylophone. It sounds like a Kricketot. Its evolved form actually sounds like it's strumming a violin, and it's so unique and so distinctive that it actually probably, along with Charlie, was one of the ones I memorized early on because it was so different, it was so amazing. Kricketune is ugly beyond belief. I mean, what the heck is it doing with a mustache? But its cry is fantastic. Now, one Pokemon that gave everybody a hard time when Sun and Moon came out was Salandit, mostly because you kept encountering males when you really wanted a female. But you have to admit, Salandit's cry is fantastic. It's different, it's out there, it sounds like a lizard in the middle of the desert, I guess? I mean, I wouldn't call it a desert, but it sounds like a sound that a lizard or a Salandit would make. And it's not, you know, like high-pitched like other cries, it's not kind of electronic sounding like other cries. It is a very low pitch, and it really just sounds like it's laughing at you. Well, maybe not at you, but it just sounds like it's laughing. That's just what makes it unique. Now, I will admit, Pyukumuku was a little bit of a disappointment when it came to its moveset, and even though I found a way around that, it still doesn't seem that much action. But one thing that wasn't disappointing about Pyukumuku is its cry. Its cry is fantastic. It keeps Pyukumuku chucking from being annoying because you don't have to listen to the same, lame cry over and over again. It's a good cry. It sounds like it's talking to you, and it actually sounds like something a sea cucumber would make. I don't think sea cucumbers make sounds, but if it did, that's the sound it would make. And without a doubt, the Pokemon with the best cry, I think, happens to be Charjabug. Why? Because it sounds like a Charjabug. Its cry sounds like an accordion, and this fits it perfectly because, well, when the Charjabug comes out, it kind of moves back and forth like an accordion. I know it's supposed to be a battery, but it looks like an accordion. And the accordion sound is not something you hear in cries at all. When I first heard that, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good cry, you know? That's what puts Charjabug on top. Charjabug definitely has the best cry out of any Pokemon. And that's it. Those are the top 10 Pokemon cries. If you like this video, please feel free, give it a like. You can tell me what some of your favorite cries are in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more Pokemon videos. I do make them, so I hope you will subscribe and you will enjoy them. But anyway, if you want to keep up to date with this channel, you can always go on Twitter at @TheJumpVideos. And as for me, I'm going to be getting out of here, but I will catch you later. It's very... Oh god, I'm blanking on the word here.